I'm in peace. So the Portland Trail Blazers are a team that is constantly on the bubble, not only for playoff contention, but once they get in there, there's constant speculation on how far they can go. And due to the fact that they have one of the most dynamic guard tandems in the NBA, they're definitely a wild card. Of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Now we shine the spotlight on C.J. McCollum of the Portland Trail Blazers. He's part of one of the league's most explosive backcourts as the Blazers build toward contending in a highly competitive Western Conference.
Nurkic squares up. Now hand up McCollum. CJ dribbles left. Makes a move on Beasley. Fades back. Put the shot up and in. Blazers win this one. A magnificent road trip. 4-1 on this 5-game trip.
The main difference between the Portland Trail Blazers and most of the other teams in the West, the other upper echelon teams in the West, is that Portland has not quite figured it out on the defensive end yet. And when and if they figure it out on the defensive end, that's when they're going to make that jump to elite level status, because there's truly not that big a difference between them and the Golden State Warriors pre-Kevin Durant, other than their lack of experience and their inability to figure it out on the defensive end. Once and if they figure it out on the defensive end, they're going to go from being a team that normally wins in the high 40s to a team that is going to be a high 50s win team. Because that's the main difference in those two level of teams. Particularly a team like Portland that has the level of talent that they have. They have a great backcourt. They have, by all intents and purposes, either the second or third best backcourt in the NBA. Maybe the lowest fourth if you want to say Chris Paul and James Harden, and maybe Bradley Beal and John Wall out there in Washington. And, of course, you got Stephen Clay in Golden State. But they're no lower than fourth. And with the addition of Nurkic, they really should not be a team that only wins in the mid-40s. It's time for them to take the next step.
And they go to 13-8 on the year.
I think that we're getting better collectively.
Get a good shot every time down. We have to do it together.
You look at how we're performing. We're doing things the right way.
CJ sends a pass into Nurk, and he hammers it home.
We've discussed how the season's going. Could be a lot better, but when you get into December and as the new year comes around, you have these learning experiences and you have more play calls that you know can work down the stretch, and you're able to go to those.
CJ the hot hand, straight away three, bingo! His hand has been hot all season long.
The line between wins and losses is thin. It's thin. It's one possession here, one possession there.
I agree. And I firmly believe that the main thing that they're going to need to change or alter in order for them to take a major step upward is that Damian Lillard is going to have to accept the fact that he cannot be their primary scorer. He's going to have to accept the fact that he's going to have to be a guy who scores when they need him to score, and not just be one of these players who wants to pull up from 25 feet arbitrarily. That was the main thing that made the Detroit Pistons rise in the late 80s, was when Isaiah Thomas went from being a guy who was averaging 23 and 13 to a guy who averaged 18 and 8. And he divested a lot of the offensive clout to Joe Dumars and Adrian Dantley and Mark Aguirre later on. That's when they became a championship contender. Damian Lillard is going to have to figure out how to make his teammates better. Being the best player on the team, he's going to have to divest some of the offensive load to C.J. McCollum. It's nice they're both averaging over 20, but they'll be an even better team when Damian Lillard's average goes down from about 25 to about 20, and McCollum's average maybe goes up a little bit. Nurkic's average goes up, and he makes also the players coming off the bench better and a more integral part of the team and the offense. Right now, the offense goes through Lillard a little bit too much.
McCollum dancing his way, fades back, and hit it! 20 seconds remaining, and McCollum with ice water in his veins, and the Blazers take a 1-point lead.
I spent a lot of time preparing and training and putting time in so that when I do get in game situations, I'm comfortable in any scenario. Over the course of the year, I've worked on different aspects of my game.
CJ comes off of the screen, comes in, floats one up and in.
I spend time watching films, breaking down ways to improve.
Wicked crossover.
As usual, Carmelo Anthony getting crossed up, crossed over, and scored on. It's been happening to this man the last 7 years, 8 years. That's why it's a big joke when people like Stephen A. Smith get on TV and want to tell everybody how much of a superstar he is. Carmelo Anthony is not a superstar, never has been, never will be. What he is a nice streak scorer. That's all he's ever been in the NBA.
And the flutter ball out the window up and in.
I have a lot of confidence in my game.
Lillard pedals into the front court. Drive, reverse layup, falling down over his shoulder. Damian Lillard and one. Unbelievable. Dame drives all the way to the basket, kicks it out to CJ. Another long three, right side. Good! Look at that backcourt. Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum have been just absolutely superb.
Yeah, they can get cooking. That's why I made the comparison between these two and Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, which I think is a very apropos comparison, particularly if these guys raise their defensive level upward, and if Damian, as I've stated, divests a little bit of the offensive load to McCollum and to the rest of his teammates.
We can match up with anybody when it comes to our backcourt, and a lot of it has to do with our friendship.
Lillard spinning in between defenders, finds an open shooter, and CJ cashes in on a triple.
I think we play well off each other.
Go! Go!
They do, and fortunately for them, neither one of them are jealous of the other, which is a great thing. That was an issue that Wall and Beal went through for a while. It seems like they're finally starting to move past it.
Go!
Because we care about each other.
CJ to a trailing Lillard, and Dame lays it in.
We sit next to each other on the plane. Our moms hang out. Bonds has developed over time. And we feel like, as a backcourt, if we continue to get better and have our mind in the right place, and we can do special things for the Portland Trail Blazers.
Dame with the ball, working on Ingram. Long three-pointer for the win. He knocks it down. Damian Lillard with ice water in his veins.
Look, they have a lot of talent on their team.
Certainly we have goals where we want to be at the end of the season, but we really don't talk about them much. It's about where are we, our culture, our process, our team, and that we're going in the right direction. The Western Conference is no joke. Teams have gotten better. It's a grind for 82 games, but that's part of the challenge of the NBA, and I think we relish the opportunity.
We got to put ourselves in a position to make the playoffs. You don't want to be fighting in April for a spot. You want to have your spot solidified. So now you're working on rotations. Everything's in place. You're trying to get healthy for the playoffs. We'll have to continue to build going forward. And when April comes around, we'll be that much better.
Well, we'll see. When April comes around, you guys definitely have to get out the first round. Those are the expectations for your team right now. The major breakthrough is going to come if and when you face a team like a Golden State or a Houston in the second round. How well can you do, and do you have a chance to beat them? I'll be very interested in seeing a second-round matchup between the Houston Rockets and the Portland Trail Blazers. I mean, that most likely will be the second-round matchup, Houston and Portland, and probably Golden State and San Antonio. So we'll see who comes out of that. But then again, who knows? You also have OKC in there. So the Western playoffs are going to be very, very good, and wouldn't shock me if the Eastern playoffs have some surprises as well.
We're looking forward to doing something special.
But anyway, the Portland Trail Blazers are definitely a team to watch out west. They could shock a few people, particularly late in the season, so we'll see. Anyway, peace.